Hey everybody, it's William Xavier. Welcome back to the next video in this series for the Caribbean Adventure album that I'm putting together. And this is going to be probably a shorter video. I'm just going to focus on creating a couple border elements within one of the sketches that I put together. So you can see in front all the things that I'm using here. I'm using the new Hummingbird and Flower border punch, which came out in December 25 with the tropical, I'm blanking on the name of it. I believe it's Tropical Garden collection. I'm also using the embossed flower shape punch and the mandevilla shape punch as well to complement these two pages that are still kind of in progress. You can see I'm working out the layout on the right one where I want to really put my photos, but you can see this border that we're going to do is going to come along the bottom here, and you can see I've kind of done some sampling ideas to see what I want to go with. So I'm going to be showing, a quick little weaving technique with two of the border punches for the right side here, where I used Climbing Vine BMC and the Leafy Vine Border Maker punch together, as well as some inking, and that's kind of the primary focus of this video. We'll be looking at the inking part. So already, right, we can see that I used the sketch 4 from the Creative Memories December 25 virtual crop. So walking through all those elements here, I've got my 5x12 piece here using the Tropical Garden collection, followed by the 1/2-inch border. I decided to go with border punches for that. I've got bamboo that's done in medium craft and inked in the rich cocoa. And then I used the Monstera leaf that I cut out of one of the designer papers from the painted Tropical Garden collection. And then I used the pink print from the Tropical Garden collection as well, and inked those sides and ripped and tore those as well. And for the bottom part of the border here, again, I used the Climbing Vine BMC woven with the Leafy Vine border punch. And these two are non-CM papers. One is, I think, a Basil cardstock, and the other is from a random kind of book of other kind of printed designer papers that's non-Creative Memories. I'm using bright white cardstock for my flower punch outs, as well as the deep orchid cardstock that came out with the collection as well. And then I have that repeating onto the other side with the 7x12 piece, the border element, and then our side piece here too. The piece that I'm going to focus on for, both of these little border elements here on the original sketch, we've got a border that goes along this about probably this 8x6 piece here, which I altered my photo placement around, so I'm not necessarily following the photo placement here on the sketch, but I am going to incorporate this border piece along the top here, and that is going to be the Hummingbird and Flowers. And so I'll show you, I was playing around with that in the inks on a scrap piece of white cardstock, just playing around with my inks and just different things. And so here, to get this effect, I just used the top or the tip part. So we'll just use the lilac posies So I just used this part of the ink pad and I directly did a line on that flower just to kind of get that effect. I did the same using the Northern Pine ink on the hummingbird, which I thought was really a nice, neat kind of way to add some texture of like feathers. And then of course I used the rich cocoa for the beak, and I was just playing around with some yellows that I have to kind of see what type of pattern I want to go with. And so ultimately this will be up here. However, when I look at it in this setting, it kind of seems a bit too busy. That texture, while it's really, really nice on its own, I feel like it competes way too much with all the other type of textural elements going on that I have. So I'm gonna simplify this a bit more. And so I practiced that on the other side. Right here is where I used some detail brushes that I got at Walmart, for, I think this was like around $3.97, so tax $4. And it gives me 4 different detail brushes, and so that's kind of what I needed, right? This thin brush tip to get some of the fine lines that you can see here on the hummingbird. And then of course I tested, what if I kind of mixed them and gave the flowers some texture versus doing a more controlled detail. So I'm actually going to go with the more controlled detail pieces here. The hummingbird itself, I'm shading in a non-Creative Memories ink. It's one that I had gotten at, I think it was Joann Fabrics, in some, buy 2 get 1 free type of bin thing. So it's not within our Creative Memories line yet, this type of lighter green color, but probably in this year it will probably come out. And so we can see when we place that against what we have on the page, I feel like that works a lot better. It's there, but it's not drawing too much attention. It's not as busy as the other side. And I'm omitting the yellow. I'm gonna go with just the pink stripes on those flowers, which I'm gonna replicate and bring down at the bottom and anchor it there too, using the Mandevilla punch and the embossed flower punch as well. So we have a bit to do. Let's first do our other half with the vine, the climbing vine and the leafy vine. So I'm wanting to weave these together, and some of the punches will come together really, really easily and nicely. Other times we might have to kind of figure out where I can kind of slide them together to make them fit. Such as these two, they will go together. I just kind of have to find that magic kind of spot for them to do that. So I'm actually going to put a little repo tape on the one print, so that way once I kind of get it where I want it to, I can just squeeze them together and they'll stick better. And I don't need a lot because I don't have a big section on this right hand side to place. So I'm only needing something around 5 inches or so. Anyway, so I'm just gonna put a little bit on there, and then we're gonna try to figure out how we can get these to go and match and complement each other in the best way possible. And already I think that just kind of fell into place. Sometimes that will happen. And it's really wonderful when it does, because it makes things so much easier. So I am just giving this a nice light kind of squeeze in a way to get it where it hits those repo tape spots nicely. And so now I can kind of size it. I need to make my cut here. So I'm just gonna get my scissors and I'm gonna make my cut. Okay. Then I'm gonna take the Northern Pine ink, and as you can kind of see here, I gave it an inking kind of just some detail around. I'm taking the ink pad directly onto the edges here, and I'm just kind of trying to get some inking along those edges, and I'm kind of angling it in a way that it kind of gives slight shading off that edge a bit, which is the effect I'm really kind of wanting to add here. And I'm trying not to forget to get into the middle there as well. That wants some love as well, so we gotta give it something to work with. You know, and then I'm just lightly coming in. Oop, doesn't help to drop your ink. Just lightly coming in here, just with that tip, just to kind of get some extra spots here and there. Yeah. So if this type of technique makes you a little nervous, by all means, practice on some scrap first. Then I'm gonna get some repo tape along the whole back of it here. And then I'm going to place it onto my layout. So I'm going to have to just pop up these leaves real quick so I can tuck it in. So that's the one nice thing about using repositionable tape, is that it helps us do these types of things when we're working in segments. There we go. So we got that all situated. So that's ready for our flowers when we get those ready. The next part, I'm going to finish punching the hummingbird and flowers. So I've already got it started on a scrap piece because I only need probably around maybe 6 inches. So I just looked for a piece of scrap, bright white, that would work really, really well to just use up. And I'm just going to punch through the whole 12 inches because I want to figure out where are going to be the best starting points and ending points for things. So got that ready. I come back to my left side here. Well, when I dropped my green, I got it a little bit on there, but sometimes that happens. I can figure something out. At least it didn't mark up anything else, which is most important. So I'm just sizing this around. Right, I am not sure if I want to tuck it underneath the main border or I'm wanting it to kind of go over yet. So I might actually cut off the the end part here. So I'm gonna get my micro tip scissors and I'm just gonna cut that off as best as possible there. And I'm thinking of ending it with this hummingbird here. So we'll just cut along there. And we'll cut around here. And I can clean this up a little bit more. It's the beauty of micro tip scissors. You know, and if I want, I can add a little notch here to kind of differentiate that wing. A little bit. Try to get that a little bit more curved and less pointy. That's always one problem I have sometimes with cutting, is that I want it to be rounded and I end up kind of pointing it or making it pointy, and that's okay. All right, so I'm thinking this will be a really nice balance. I'm not going right across that border. I'm not necessarily tucking inside. And so we'll go with this. Okay. I'm gonna get my craft mat out. So there's a couple of ways we can do this. We can certainly dab our ink on here and dip our brushes into that ink. We can, I'm gonna sit down for this part. We can, of course, just kind of roll our brushes on the ink pad itself. So I'm gonna start just with the flowers, because they're quick, easy to do. So like I was mentioning, right, we could just put our ink right on our brush tip. If we wanted to. And then I really like this idea of the kind of that line. So I'm gonna start at the center and I'm gonna just come to the tip of that flower petal. And I'm gonna start out light. And just very slow and controlled. But I don't have a lot of ink on my brush. Just kind of giving like light little strokes around the center, because I do kind of want to have that little effect of some of that pink around the center. And I'm just, you know, moving slowly back and forth. Oops, I'm getting stuck. Right? If I want to use the other method, right, I can dab some of the pink there and work with it off my craft mat as well. Moving on to the bigger one. I might make a couple of the lines a little bit thicker, just to have some variation. I'm just going to come around the middle there. Yep. And so then I might kind of come back and kind of sharpen up some of the other ones. Get a little bit, that might be a little light. I might just want to add a little bit extra to really kind of bring out some of those more. So I'm going to set that one aside. Next, I'm going to do the beaks for my hummingbirds. So I'm going to get my rich cocoa, and for this one, I am actually going to just take the tip and glide it along the beak. So I'm just going to position this where it's a little bit easier for me. I'm left-handed. So I'm just going to come in here and just start lightly shading that beak in. Okay, and I'll let that sit in case I'll touch it up later if I need to. And move this around again. Okay, I'm going to get another brush. Now I'm going to get my northern pine. Or actually, maybe I might, you know what, let's do the shading first. So I'm gonna use this lighter green that's a non-Creative Memories ink right now. So I'm just gonna lightly shade the body and the wing of the hummingbird. Saving a little spot to get the pink on its chest. Come down on the tail a bit here. Let's do all my tails. This one will be easier because I don't have anything to compete with. And I'm just shading it till I feel pretty content in its color. Like I said, this last one will be really easy. So I'm not worried about anything on top of it, next to it. So I can really get this one. Okay. Just a little bit for extra measure. Especially these tails, I don't want them to disappear. In any of things, so. Okay. Now I'll take my pine green, put a dab on my mat, get my other brush. Oh, that's my pink one. And actually, since I have the pink one on here, I'll get some extra ink. And I'm just gonna do just that chest area a little bit. Just lightly. To give some of that coloring. Now I'll do my detailing. So I'll get some of that green on my brush. I'm gonna kind of just start at the beak and kind of just lightly give a little definition to the beak line. And then I'm just gonna make some lines. I'm thinking this might be where I'm in a good spot. I don't know if I want to add any more lines to the bird. So what we can do is kind of give it a little test run up here on our layout. So I'm thinking this will look really, really nice. So I'm gonna stop with this because I'm happy with it right now. Too much of a good thing can sometimes, you know. I'm gonna switch to the flowers at the bottom. So I've got some of my punch outs. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 small and 1 large on this side. I'm gonna see what I need on the other side. So again, I'm gonna get some more of my Lilac Posies ink. Here's the brush I was using for that. And I'm gonna do kind of the same type of idea that I did on the hummingbird, right, with the lined petals. What's nice about the embossed flower is that it's kind of already got these lines pre-etched in it. So I'm actually gonna just kind of trace over those with my Lilac Posy ink. And kind of see how that goes. And then for the mandevilla flower, sorry, kind of a similar approach from the center to the edge. Kind of vary it up a little bit. Give a couple of strokes in the middle. Give that impression of the center. And I know it might seem intimidating, right? I mean, trust me, I am no artist myself. It's just literally me experimenting on some scraps, you know, having an idea and seeing what's, you know, how can I translate that idea using the supplies we have. So I think what we'll do is we will get these together for our page here. So these are my test ones, I'm not using those. So the Mandevilla punch is going to give us a punch out of that little piece and then the kind of the big outline. I'm going to pair the big one with my embossed flower because they scale well together. And then I'm going to pair these with the other small punch out, and I'm going to offset them like so. Now I can use a couple of different products. I could use certainly repo tape, regular tape will fit in here. I could also use my precision point adhesive if I wanted to. Get it going. Right, put a dollop in the middle. I'm going to use my tweezers because it's easier if I don't spaz out like that. Oh my goodness. Having problems with tweezers today. That's all right. I can use my adhesive, my precision point adhesive glue here as well. I could use repo tape for sure. And I could even use regular tape runner if I wanted to as well. So any which one that you like to use best, go ahead and use that here. Okay. Now for this one, it probably would be best to use repo if I'm going to try to get this to kind of stick in the middle, or I could place it, you know, one element at a time onto my page. Get the excess off. Put this aside. Get my page here. Oh, yeah, it would help if I have all my elements I'm going to use. All right, so now I'm just going to quickly dry fit these pieces. So I know I want the big one obviously to kind of be in the middle here, and then get my little ones. So I'm going to kind of figure out the best placement for these. Seems to be something around like that. So for my big middle one, I will use repo because it will get into where I need it to go. For the smaller ones, again, I could use the precision dot glue. I could use regular adhesive, regular tape runner. So here I've got that situated. And then dry fit this, because I have some peekaboos. So this will give you an idea now of what my finished page is going to look like overall. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then the the other page, right, I'm not sure, I won't be able to fit 3 here, so I either have to go with a big and a small, or 2 smalls, or just 1 big one. Or maybe a big and a small might work well together. Or just 1 big one. So I will figure that out, but I would go about doing it the same way, punching out. I might even just use this too, punching out from the embossed blossom on white and then inking the insides. So hopefully this helped you explore a little bit more about inks and different ways of being able to work with them to create different types of details and effects for our pages. So hopefully you enjoyed, and I hope you try it out. And if you need anything, always reach out to your favorite advisor. Feel free to reach out to me. Links are in the description, and happy scrapping.